Okay, so the first query that comes in the mind is, what is machine learning algorithm and how it is different from artificial intelligence? So there are a lot of terms, right? Artificial intelligence, machine learning. What is basically difference between machine learning and AI? Okay, so if you have, let me take a different color here. Okay, so let's suppose that you have this whole big universe. Okay, so it's a set. Okay, and if I'll call it as artificial intelligence, all the algorithms that that are there, they are algorithms of artificial intelligence from the domain of AI. Okay, so we can have a subdomain here or subset that will be our machine learning, and in that particular subset we'll be having another subset that will be our deep learning algorithms. Okay, so machine learning covers the deep learning also. Now what is fundamental difference here is that when you talk about AI, it means that that particular algorithm or model should be having the capacity to sense, should be having the capacity to act, should be having the capacity to reason and adapt that particular environment in which the model or the agent is interacting. Okay, but when we talk about the machine learning algorithm, it is nothing but just an algorithm that can basically learn from the data by modeling. Okay, by learning from the experience of the previous data. Okay, and similarly, when you have a huge amount of data, then you deploy the neural networks, and that is very similar to the neurons that we are having in design. It is very similar to the neurons that we are having inside our brain. So it is, when we use the neurons, it is termed as the deep learning. Okay, all the neural networks, the neural architectures that are there, they are just a part of deep learning. They come under the domain of deep learning. Okay, so I hope the basic understanding about the terms of AI, ML and DL is clear. Obviously it's a kind of revision what you have studied in the class also, right? Okay, now we are going to talk about the machine learning algorithms. So as I said, that machine learning algorithms learn from the data. Okay, so there should be some data that is required to be fed on the machine learning algorithms. So that is why we have studied data here, and now we are going to understand what are the types of machine learning algorithms. So first is our supervised machine learning algorithm, and second is the unsupervised machine learning algorithms. So the basic examples of these supervised machine learning algorithms can be linear regression, logistic regression, and our support vector machine, that is SVM. There are other examples like decision trees, random forest, and some other algorithm we'll just know in the future. Okay, now in the supervised machine learning algorithm, it is very similar to an activity in which some supervision is given. Okay, like I am teaching you, right? So if I am teaching you, you are following the lectures, you are getting some supervision from my side, and if you are learning from the books, then you are not getting any supervision from any teacher or tutor or instructor. So that case would be similar to the unsupervised machine learning algorithm, right? Now see, so in the supervised machine learning algorithm, we give the data, and the data should have feature and the label. This label is also sometimes known as target variable. And these features are nothing but the subset of attributes. So in data, if we talk about the tabular format of the data, that is the structured data, we have different columns, and we give some name to these columns. The name of these columns is known as attribute, right? So overall we have many attributes, we can have many attributes on the data set. So And when we select a target variable, that is the variable which we want to model, the dependent variable, right? So in mathematics we say that fx is equals to y. This is a function, right? And we say that y is dependent on x by function f. So here x is independent variable and y is dependent variable. Similarly, we have some attribute that we want to model, and we want to see the relation of this particular attribute with some other attributes. Okay, so other attributes will be termed as features, and this attribute will be termed as our target variable. Okay, so target variable is the variable which is in our focus, and we want to measure the relationship between that particular target variable with the other attributes, and those other attributes will be termed as features here. Okay, so basically features and labels, they are nothing but the subset of the attributes. So attribute, if you'll say that attribute is this circle, then features will be somewhere there, and there will be some target variable. Okay, one attribute cannot be a feature and a target variable at the same time. Okay, now so when you have such kind of data where the features and your target variable or label is present, and you are feeding it to the algorithm, then that algorithm is known as the supervised machine learning algorithm. Or you can just say that the supervised machine learning algorithms require that the data should be having features and the label or target variable. Okay, once it receives the data, it models that particular data to find out the relationship between the target variable and the features, and it generates a model. This model is nothing but a relationship between features and the target variable. Once you get the model, you can feed some new features and you can get corresponding prediction of the target variable. And this is the modeling process for supervised machine learning algorithm. And when you talk about the unsupervised machine learning algorithm, we only have the attributes, so there is no target variable, right? So there is no instructor, no supervisor. Right now, label here in the supervised machine learning algorithm, label is acting as a supervisor. So we don't have any supervisor, it means that we don't have any label. So attributes, whatever the attributes that are there in the data set, they will be served as features if we are not removing any attribute. Obviously, in the phase of feature selection, we'll be removing some attributes from this whole set, and we'll be saying that these are our features. Okay, so in unsupervised machine learning algorithm, we have the attributes, that is features, and we do not have any label or target variable. And then this data goes to our unsupervised machine learning algorithm, and it also creates a model. But this time, because model is not having any label or target variable, it creates its own class. Okay, so it basically, the model groups the data that is given into some classes, default classes, and there will be some default name for these classes. Okay, and after you get the model, anytime you'll be sending the data or the features or the attributes, you will be getting the corresponding class, that is the default name of that particular class. Okay, and these things will be clear when we'll be looking at some examples later. Okay, so for now, you know that supervised machine learning algorithm requires the label, and unsupervised machine learning algorithm does not require any label. Okay, so this is the basic difference that we are having.